You ready? Okay. Good evening, everybody. I call to order the meeting of the Skokie Public Library Board of Trustees of Wednesday, November 12th, 2025 at 6:33 p.m. So for today, Trustee Bula Colburn is participating remotely, so all votes will be handled by roll call tonight. Okay. All right. Are there any comments from observers?
Yes. Hi. Hi, I'm Jamie Aaron Price. I'm a pediatrician in the community. I've served like underserved patients in the community for 6 years, first at Asian Human Services and now up in Lake County Public Health Department. And I'm just bringing to the board's, to your attention, something that's really upsetting me, which is that I, yesterday was here at the library and I actually saw one of your librarians wearing a politically charged pin. It was a flag of Palestine. And I was very offended by it, to be honest. I've brought concerns about what I felt was Jewish erasure to Mr. Kong in the past, back in August, where I felt Jewish people were not being represented despite being like 30% of the population here. And now, we had a hate crime like 3 blocks from my house back on October 7th. And the things that were being yelled and screamed at children were about Israel. Now, I understand that it's in your policy that librarians are not allowed to wear regalia that's political. And specifically, this just feels timely in the fact that over the last 2 years, this flag has not only come to represent the Palestinian people, but also Hamas and attacking Jewish people. So I was extremely offended. I couldn't believe that that was just in the children's section of the library. And I honestly wanted to leave and I didn't feel safe. So I feel like I'm screaming at the void a little bit, that I'm just not feeling represented at a library where I grew up here. I am like a regular attendee of the library, and I just feel extremely unsafe. So that's my piece. And Mr. Kong has been really receptive, but I just need you guys to know what's going on because it's just not appropriate for our community, and that's how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from observers? Thank you. We're going to move on to the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 16th, 2025. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, hearing no questions or comments, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of October 16th, 2025?
So moved.
We're going to go to, can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. We'll go to individual vote. Let's start with Leah. Elisa?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Thank you. Leah?
Yes.
Michelle, yes. Motion passes. Oh, sorry, Bula and Bula.
Yes.
Thank you. You're gonna have to
Yes.
remind me because I all night long. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Motion passes. 1, 2, 5, 6. 6 yays and 1 abstain. The executive director's report.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see everyone. Echo here.
Oh, maybe it's me. Sorry. I just signed out.
Okay. All right. So first thing is really good news. We've heard reports that the county's property tax bills will be mailed on later this week on November 14th and will be due December 15th. That's really good news for us because although we haven't had to dip into our reserves yet, if this extended further into past January, we would have. So Hopefully that tax revenue from the fall that was due a few months ago will start flowing into our bank accounts. I just want to mention a couple of opportunities for the board, and especially the ILA Legislative Breakfast, which is on December 3rd in a hotel in Northbrook. This is an annual event where the Illinois Library Association has an opportunity for library trustees and library administrators to meet with local community representatives, or elected officials, I should say, from the state and federal levels, and just dialogue about pertinent legislative matters related to libraries. So it's, I know Ella's attended in the past, and I think Amanda has attended in the past. It's always a really good event, a good opportunity just to hear what's going on and also hear from directly from our state and federal level elected officials. So if you can make it, please let us know. We'll get you signed up. I think the deadline is November 20th to register. And that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in my written report. Michelle, if it's okay, I can talk a little bit about some of the comments that we've received.
Yes, please.
So, as the board knows, we received a number of comments from the public about recent immigration enforcement activities in the area, and expressing concern about that and asking if the library, what the library would do in response and to support the community. And so I just wanted to let the board know that I've been working on a statement or a blog post essentially to share with the public and the community just some reminders about how we handle patron privacy and confidentiality, some of our protocols internally if federal officials come into the library asking for patron information or the whereabouts of a patron or staff member, what we would do in terms of working with the police to try to maintain public safety for everyone involved. And then also just talking about we've had questions about our parking lot and our driveways actually and on our library property. And those are actually owned and operated by the library, as you all know. And the parking lot is intended for library designated use, so it's not possible for someone else to come in and just use a library parking lot for their own needs. So that's something that I want to reiterate to the community and just clarify to the community that yes, we own and operate the parking lot, and we would make clear to any person who tries to stage personnel or vehicles on the lot that we would ask them to move elsewhere, because that's not what the intent of the parking lot is. Let's see what else. I also think that it'll be helpful to share and amplify the village's resource list. That they've been doing a good job of sharing just information for any citizen or any community member, right, about what people's rights are. And so rather than recreate that list and try to keep two lists going, I think it's a good practice just to kind of amplify what the village is already doing. So, and then to point to some resources that the library has about legal assistance if people need it, or just kind of just civic information, right? Civic engagement information. So that's in the works. If any of you have any comments about that or would like to speak to me separately or individually, I'm not planning to really post that until probably early tomorrow afternoon, so there's still time. And then in terms of the parking lot, I think that one thing that we can do that's just kind of a simple step is to create some signage in the parking lot, just to make it very clear that the library operates that parking lot and it's really only for library authorized use. So that's in the works right now. We're designing the signs and we're getting quotes, and so I think in a matter of days we'll have something in our parking lots. So just wanted to report on that. I know that there's been a lot of kind of a flurry of community comments about that to the board and to the library administration, and so we've definitely thought really hard about what a careful and thoughtful response should be from the library about what we can and should do. The final thing I would say is that I know I've shared in the past some protocols internally with the board about how the staff are instructed to respond to information requests, and And so that's something that I'll also kind of revise and beef up a little bit. Get in light of some of the questions that we've heard staff and also patrons ask. So I plan to send that out tomorrow morning as well.
I just got a comment, just to verbalize that I appreciate the responsiveness. I think it is really important that the library is doing exactly what you plan to do, which is to be responsive and connected and to communicate both public facing and then also what is happening internally to support staff and to feel safe and protected and just ready to be responsive and helpful. So I just wanted to vocalize that.
Any other questions or comments about the director's report or any other topics at this point?
I just wanted to circle back to the tax revenue
Mhm,
collection
sure.
and just to reiterate and make sure like we will not need to dip into our reserves if the collection goes according to schedule.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, yeah. I think if it went past January, Allison and I were thinking that we might need to, but it doesn't look like we'll get to that point.
I was happy you included the article in here because I was not aware that it was due to your technology upgrade. That was actually news to me. So
Yeah, I think there's some debate about and some finger pointing right in, but yeah.
Is this the appropriate time to discuss the audit?
Well, you know what, we're moving on to the audit, so it's very timely. Okay. All right, but any other questions regarding the director's report at this point? Okay. Moving on, acceptance of the audit for fiscal year 2025, and we're on page 26. Oh, sorry, page 6.
And we have Sydney Marks from Lauterbach and Neiman on the call here. She's one of
Hi.
our auditors. Hi, Sydney. Sydney, did you want to start by just sharing your thoughts or?
Yeah, I'm gonna go through a couple pieces of the report, so at least all the important parts.
Sorry,
So.
1 second. Susie, do you have an audit?
Yeah, with physical copies.
Does anyone want the physical copy? I know it was it's easier to look at the long document.
Yes.
Physically. Sorry, Sydney.
No worries.
While that's going around, I just wanna commend Allison Dulac, our finance manager, for all the hard work that she's put into this audit process. A very lengthy process, but obviously very important and well worth the time. And she worked closely with Sydney and the other auditors to provide them with information. Sydney probably will talk about this as well.
And then, in light of that, just because we do have a few board members who've not been through an audit before, so if we can kind of go through kind of the overview and big picture of the audits, as far as like the process of it, I know we'll oftentimes go through that, but just to reiterate, just kind of the process, how it's handled, what the steps were in order to do that, and then kind of walk us through the more finite details of it.
I think Sydney could cover a lot of most of that, so.
Okay. So yeah, I am Sydney Marks. I'm one of the audit managers at Lauterbach and Amen. I wanted to thank you guys again for allowing me to come and speak this evening. So we'll go over the 2025 audit. We'll go over a couple pieces of required communication, and I can kind of go over what the purpose of this is and etc. So for starters, we can go over the SAS 114, which it might only be Richard that has a copy. I'm not sure who else has a copy. We usually just do one for the SAS 114. So for this is a letter that basically conveys whether or not we had any disagreements or any difficulties with management encountered over the course of the audit procedures. So we're happy to know that there were no disagreements or any difficulties. And I think, Richard, you can find that in the body of your SAS 114 letter. And then next we will jump into the actual audit report. So your bounds, the bound copies. So if you open up the financial report and go to page 1, pages 1 through 3 will be your independent auditor's report. And essentially, these couple of pages really is why we do what we do. This really gives the opinion on the financial statements, and it states whether they're sound or not. So essentially what the independent auditor's report says is that Skokie Library, your responsibility is to prepare the financial statements and make sure that they're fairly presented. And then it also states that our jobs as the auditor is to generate an opinion on these financial statements. And so you'll see in the body paragraphs, like in the opinion and the basis of the opinion paragraphs, you'll see that for 2025, Skokie Library received an unmodified opinion. So an unmodified opinion, that is the cleanest form of an opinion, and that is the highest level of assurance that we can issue as auditors. It also states that the financial statements are free from any material misstatements and that you guys have internal controls to cover the financials. If you jump to pages 5 through 12, so this small area is your management discussion and analysis, or your MD&A. I like to call it the autobiography because this is the part of the report where you guys actually get to have a part in it. So we actually send this back to you guys to make the updates and the changes for this part of the report. So essentially, this part, what the MD&A does is it's really just a great narrative of the fiscal year's highlights. If you're someone that doesn't like to get into the nitty-gritty of the finances or you have trouble reading them, this will pretty much sum it up for you. So that's your MD&A. And then going to page 19. I think it is 20, actually, page 20. So this is essentially your income statement for all your governmental funds. So from left to right, you will see the general fund. The general fund had about 13.7 million in operating revenues with an ending fund balance of about 6 million. And then you'll see the 2019 Go Bond, or your debt service fund, has about 1.1 million in operating revenues and an ending fund balance of about 550K. And then Site and Building has about 317 in operating revenues, and then it has a nice healthy fund balance of about 10 million. And then one of your smaller funds, or your non-major funds, is your Fine Arts and Acquisition Fund. Almost about 3,000 in operating revenues, and then an ending fund balance, or your revenues minus expenses. That's your ending is about 84, 85K. And then if you turn a couple pages to page 22, this is where your notes to the financial statements begin. So this essentially gives you kind of the background of how we come up with some of the balances that are on the face of the financial statements. So if you're wondering, like, how did we get the final capital asset balances or final debt balances, or how much is our cash, etc. You can find that all in the notes. So usually you can find anything about like investments, leases, capital, long-term debt. It'll usually give you a little bit more information in the notes to the financial statements. And And then starting on page 44, you guys want to turn to this one if you don't want to. 99% of the page 44 and the rest of the report, that's your required supplementary information. The majority of it is like historical and trend information, but the most important part that people usually turn to this part of the report for is to see your budget to actual figures. So that'll be in your RSI section. And that's all I have for the financial report. The last thing I do want to go over is the management letter for 2025. So this year, the only comment that the library received was the IT awareness comment, which I will say that this has gone out to all of our clients. This just has to do with new GASB and SAS updates that we need to make you guys aware of. So yeah, this is just something that has been standard for our clients. So everyone has been getting this comment. You guys have no regular comments that you guys received from us. We just have 2 upcoming GASB standards. So we will have GASB 102, which is certain risk disclosures, and that'll be applicable in the 2026 audit. And then we will have GASB 103, financial reporting model improvements. That'll be applicable in the 2027 audit. And that is all I have for you guys, unless you guys have any questions for me or about the audit.
I was wondering about the recommendations for the tech security, because what was the reasoning behind using a PIN instead of a password for these accounts? Sorry, is that not related?
No, I want to make sure I understand the question. What section are you?
There are recommendations for two-factor authentication, and I would just encourage us to follow that because it does feel like the 4-digit is not as secure as perhaps a password.
Yes, okay, so we do follow two-factor authentication protocols, yeah, so we do that with our accounts and everything, and like for all the way from like Outlook to our computers and everything, so the bank accounts that we use all have two-factor authentication, and we have like token passcodes and combination of password and code that we have to combine. And
I think you're talking about Patreon.
Yeah.
oh,
You're talking
patrons,
about
okay,
internal
I'm sorry,
things,
I
yeah.
was like,
Sorry,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
I-
we're talking about.
I'm very familiar with the security.
I'm sorry, okay, I was like,
Yeah,
do you use two-factor?
Sorry, I should
Yeah,
have been
no,
more
it's okay.
specific.
Patron, okay, so in terms of paying for overdue,
Accessing a patron's account
okay.
on the library website seems very low security.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
You're gonna put a hold or you wanna check your record.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
account.
Yeah,
That's the account.
To be honest, I haven't discussed that with our staff recently. So Laura and I can look into that question and see, are there other options at this point with our website and our integrated library system to see if we can create maybe a more robust security system for our patron use. But that, just to be clear, that's not
Unrelated.
well, it's not unrelated because it's all security, right? But there's little connection with our financial security in terms of our accounts and our security of our funds and everything. But it does actually have some connection with patron account information and like overdue fines and stuff like that. So
It might just be in my head because.
no.
Comments we were getting.
Actually, I'm glad you brought it up because to be honest, I haven't really looked into that in recent times. So we can take a look at that. Do you know, Laura, off the top of your head, or have you heard any developments?
I haven't heard that that's even an option for
Yeah.
most of the overlays that people use for their catalogs, but we can ask around. And we actually have some staff at a conference right now that they might be able to ask around and get some information as well.
It's actually a timely question because a like I said earlier in my director's report portion, patient privacy and confidentiality is such an important, so important topic right now, obviously, so it's something we can definitely look into. Yeah. Thank you.
I don't disagree with the recommendation. I think it's a good one. I mean, I've always been super impressed when the IT manager has put together this very robust
Yeah.
reports.
Right.
So I think it's good. I think it would be good to possibly circle back on that and have a more concentrated focus on what we're working on from a security perspective,
Mhm.
especially with how fast AI is moving and, you know, deep fakes and all of these things that people are doing to gain access to private information.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, Laura knows, every 6 months or so, I have a panic attack and just email Mark, Kathy, our IT manager, saying, just remind me again, like, are we doing everything we can, you know, to be secure? Because you hear about different cyber attacks all over, you know, frequently these days, unfortunately. And he always responds calmly and just kind of assures me that they're doing really everything they can to, they as in the IT manager, Mark Kathy and his team, to make sure that our systems are secure. But I appreciate the note in the audit, the letter, because it's something that we can't take for granted, and it's an evergreen concern.
I just have one other question, and maybe my brain is a little foggy, maybe I'm imagining this. I think last year when we did the audit, we had to do additional follow-up and make amendments to the audit for some reason.
Yeah.
And I just think that'd be good to maybe bring that up and discuss, especially with the newer people who haven't been here, like what that was and why or why we are not having to do that again this year. If that's,
Okay.
do you remember?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. Unfortunately, no, I'm just joking. I guess I'm making that expression because it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
But I'll do my best, and Allison, if you want to jump in, feel free. So I think this might have been 2 years
Might have been,
ago.
I don't remember, I know it was, because I remember we had the line item budgeted in
Yeah,
the
and
budget,
then we
and then
had
we
to
had to
bring it
readdress it,
back,
yes,
yeah.
correct.
I think it was a couple of years ago, but correct me if I'm wrong, Allison, but there was a question of in our budget, there's the operating budget and then like the capital line in the operating account, and then there was utilization of capital funds and then the total budget. There was confusion about whether or not the board approved expenditures of like the full utilization of the reserves as well as the operating, and then when they were examining it, it looked like we were spending over what was approved by the board. But then in further conversations and discussing it with the auditors at the time, I can't remember if it was Sydney who it was on your team, but I don't think it was you, Sydney. There was clarification and understanding that yes, the way we phrased it might have been confusing, but the board ultimately did approve the total budget, not just the operating expenditures. So there was a utilization of the reserves as well. So it got cleared up, and the auditor made an amendment and said, no, everything is, squared away. I mean, I'm simplifying it, obviously. You can go back to the recording to get the full explanation. But Allison, do you have anything to add, or if you can remember, or did I get the gist of it?
Yeah, you explained it perfectly. It was just a confusion between our total budget and the breakdown between the operating
And the
and the
utilization.
capital, the utilization of the reserves.
Right. That's why so I think subsequent to that, whenever we have the approval of the budget now, I think we changed the way we formatted it.
Yeah.
So that it's very clear that we're asking the board to approve everything, like including utilization of existing funds, as opposed to only operating expenditures. So I think whereas before it was approval or adoption of the operating budget, whereas now it's approval or adoption of the budget, right? And that's operating funds for the fiscal year coming up, the utilization of reserves, possibly the utilization of operating GOF funds, general operating funds, utilization of possibly the art acquisitions fund, right? So it's like a complete picture. So, yeah.
All right.
But that's actually a good thing to go through because now we change the formatting and it's very clear.
Yeah, it was presented that way in here, where
Mhm.
each of those different things had a different column, so I just wanted to make sure that this, going
Yeah.
forward, that we're moving on to that new procedure.
I believe we are, I think
Okay.
everything is fine, yeah. As Sydney said, it's a clean audit, so.
Any other questions or comments regarding the audit? Bula, anything from you? I know this puts you on the spot, but I know you're not in the room with us, so I just wanted to check in
No,
with you.
I appreciated the presentation by Sydney and no questions for me, no further questions for me.
Thank you. Okay, so with that, do I hear a motion to accept the audit for fiscal year 2025 as presented?
Second,
We'll go to individual votes. Elisa?
Yes.
Mary?
yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Ella?
Yes.
Leah?
Yes.
Lula?
Yes. Sorry.
And I vote yes as well. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Sydney. Appreciate
Thank
your
you, you
time.
guys have a good night.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Good night.
And thank you again to Allison. I really can't stress how much work this is for.
Thank you very much, Allison. And to the team.
Mhm.
Just out of curiosity, how long have we been using the same auditing company?
It's been years now. We really use who the village uses, right? Because with IMRF, we're kind of linked together in that regard. So while they're doing the village audit, they're here to just walk over across the village green and kind of work with us too. And so it works out that way. Do you recall if the village has a certain year where they're gonna go out and kind of open it up again?
They just renewed it for, I believe it's, was for three more audits.
Okay.
So this year and then 2 more.
So I've asked this question before to the auditors, like, I think it's good practice to have different auditing teams, so it's like fresh eyes on it.
Yeah.
And so that even if we see the same auditing firm,
Okay.
they might have different people on their teams to look at the audit, and so that there's kind of fresh eyes. So that's been my understanding of it, so.
I actually had the
We need to,
same.
like audit the auditors, like I think that's something that we needed to,
I'm sorry.
look into like changing auditing companies at some point,
Yeah, we haven't driven that decision in the village, and we just go along with them because they're the big audit, we're the little audit, and relatively speaking, but it's just so much easier to use who they use because of the tie with IMRF.
Okay.
I was
Something
actually
to
going
think
to add.
about. Go ahead, Bula,
I'm sorry. I was going to try and raise my hand, but I can't figure it out here. So I was actually going to ask the same question when Sydney got off the phone that you had, Michelle. And I kind of think like every 3 to 5 years, you should probably think about, switching the auditing firm. It's just best practices. And I understand what you're saying about having a different auditing team, but I really don't think we necessarily need to align with what the village is doing. That's just my 2 cents. Um, if there's somebody else we've used in the past, we can go back to them if they're familiar with our, policies and that sort of thing. But maybe next year we can kind of look into it, seeing what this year's passed. So.
We can always Allison can always have a conversation with the village finance director, Julian Prendy, and explain what you just said, Bula, and see if we can kind of go our own way or what that would mean, and kind of what complications that would bring. But I don't fully understand the complications that might bring on us, but certainly we can ask a question and look into it.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with that if we've been with the same company for a while. Just something that for us to at least investigate.
Yeah, we can look into it. Ask a question to Julian especially.
Because we're not tied to them, we don't have to necessarily use this company. It might be beneficial in a lot of ways, but we're not locked into that.
I don't believe so. I just would want to check to my understanding as
Okay.
well, but my understanding has always been that it's more out of, convenience rather than like, necessity. But Allison, do you have any insight about that or?
And my understanding it's due to the IMRF, we share the IMRF, so the OPEB reporting, which is the first stage of the audit, is connected to the village. So I don't know how that would look if we went with a separate auditor, but we can certainly
Can ask.
Yeah.
ask about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So moving on, to the approval of first floor window replacement, project pay app number 2. We're on page 7.
Laura, do you want to provide a quick update about the
Yeah.
project?
The super quick update is that they're done.
Oh,
We
great.
have the final walkthrough is Friday with the representative from SMC, so they'll be here, but I did a walk around today with Vinny and everything is looking really good. So I'm very pleased with how it turned out, and most of the contingency was not used, so it will end up costing a little bit less than what we had originally.
Great news.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a chance, especially in the daytime, it's really beautiful with the natural light, around the Swan Courtyard and the South Courtyard and the kids, on section on Oakton, it's beautiful, yeah.
Congratulations. It's a big project.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, so do I hear a motion to approve payment of the first floor window replacement project pay app number 2 for a total cost of $260,202?
Second.
We'll go through
I will
individual.
say there is gonna be another pay app at least because they just finished, so that you'll see another one, even though I've said it's done.
Okay,
One more to think
one
about,
more.
yeah.
Sounds good. Elisa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Amanda, Ella,
Yes.
Leah,
Yes.
Vula,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Moving on to the approval of hot water pump replacement project pay app number 4.
Hey, Laura.
Give a little update on this too. We're almost done with this one. The physical stuff is mostly done. They're tweaking some of the programming and electrical things that are associated with it, but the pumps are in, the boiler's running, we have heat, so it's progressing really well. So same thing, you will see at least one more additional pay app because they're not done, but it's looking really good.
The timing.
Yes.
Very fast.
Yes.
Yep,
And how long, what's the lifespan on this?
oh gosh, it's like
Hopefully,
previous
fingers
ones were
crossed.
old.
30 plus, or 25
Yeah, I was gonna
plus.
say 25 at least. They're in.
Laura and I will both be retired, so we don't know.
Okay, good to know that we won't hopefully see too much of this
No,
again
no.
in any near future. Okay. So do I hear a motion? Any other questions or comments on this? Okay, so do I hear a motion to approve payment of the hot water pump replacement project pay app number 4 for a total cost of $89,154.22?
Second.
Elisa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Ella,
Yes.
Leah,
Yes.
Ula,
Yes.
say yes, motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Okay, one more, I think we're done with payouts for today.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Let's move on to the approval of the October 2025 disbursement report on page 13, starting on page 13.
I had a question under technology and network for item 3045 for $51,000 roughly. Could you walk through that expense?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. That's the OCLC annual service fee, and that is related to, the main thing that's related to is the mark records that we get for our catalog. It's like all the metadata that is used to operate our catalog and all the kind of detailed information about our materials in the catalog. So it's easier to search and find everything, so we get those records from them. The reason why it says IHLS, Illinois Heartland Library System, is because it's kind of the state library works with OCLC to have some pricing contract negotiations, and then the payments are handled by the regional system, Illinois Heartland system. They're like the counterpart to Rails. So it's they just handle the billing basically. So, but Laura, did I miss anything or?
OCLC is also interlibrary loan, so that's a component.
Yep.
It's a resource sharing.
And then there's some article databases that are kind of tied to that as well. So
You said that's the annual fee.
yes.
So that's a one.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments regarding the disbursement report? Lula, any questions from you?
No, none for me.
All right, then do I hear a motion to approve the October 2025 disbursement report?
So moved. Second.
Elisa,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Ella,
Yes.
Leah,
Yes.
Lula,
Yes.
and I vote yes, motion passes 7-0.
Can I ask what the Talking Farm did for programming?
We have
Please.
someone from their staff is like an education person, and she has facilitated our climate related programs.
Oh, fun.
It's been a really good partnership now for, I think, over a year. Also, everyone thing, it's intergenerational, which is really cool.
Very cool. Thank you. Moving on to the approval of the consent agenda, starting at page 23 through page 31.
I just wanted to have a shout out for the increased gate count for
Mhm.
October. That was really exciting. I love seeing that kind of trend. And then I also wanted to just make a comment. When you look year over year at the number of programs that we've done, we've really grown a lot with regards to programming in the library. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that team. And then also just to double check in terms of staffing levels, if we are continuing to grow that segment of the library to ensure that we're appropriately staffed. So we can continue to deliver quality programming to everybody.
I so appreciate that kind of question. So thank you for thinking of that, first of all, but yeah, we're so proud of our programming team and Amy Holcomb, our learning experiences manager, and many people throughout the library. It's an interdepartmental effort over the year. They do a great job. I think that we've come up with a good structure in terms of who's involved with programming, that we are well staffed and equipped. So learning experiences is the kind of the center hub of our program activities. That's the department. And Amy, like I said, Amy Holcomb and her team do a great job, but she works with and coordinates the efforts of many people like in youth services and community engagement and info services and advisory services and teen services, all to kind of create the programming calendar that you see, right? All those different diverse programs, very well thought out. It's the collective work of those folks. So because of that structure that we kind of like formed up this past year, we feel pretty good about that. Now that being said, we do have a couple of vacancies right now that one is filled. I don't think I'm gonna announce it right now, but there's it's been announced, okay, so what the program supervisor position has been filled, and then we have some a part-time position that we're currently trying to fill, so we should be fine, you know, is short answer to that, but yeah. Well, thank you though.
Yeah, I just feel like, you know, in terms of, going back to marketing terms, but in terms of our mix that we have here at the library, there just seems to be a growing area of interest, and I'm glad that we're able to continue to serve the community,
Yeah.
and that we had a K-pop Demon Hunters parade party. That was
Yes.
very cool.
I observed, I witnessed that.
The
I wasn't
picture
leading
looked
it,
great.
but I
It
witnessed
looked like you could just feel the fun,
Yes,
when you
it
look at this picture, I mean.
it was really a lot of
Into
fun.
it.
And, lots of,
I-
yeah, lots of kids having fun, and our Sophie Kenny, our youth services manager, and her team especially, like, they just did a great job with the crafts, and the dance party, and it was a lot of fun, so.
I just think that's a really great example, because I feel like that movie just came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
a lot of times with programming, you have to be very proactive and plan months ahead of time. So I think the fact that we were able to see that this was something that was very trending
Yeah.
and very relevant, and that the library was able to react very quickly to offer that, I think it's a testament to how in tune the library is with the community that it serves.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I was commiserating with one of the librarians that there are no books available because my kids are too young to watch it, but of course they're hearing about it in school.
Mhm.
And I think that was one of the reasons that there are no books to get out.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably
I
a
know, probably
whole lot
soon,
of like
yeah.
toys or books.
Yeah, they've got sweatshirts, but no.
Oh,
books.
really? And just one note about the kind of side related to that is, as you probably have all noticed, is in the budget, year to year, we have been increasing the programming line. To speak to what you've been saying, Mary, like, our efforts are increasing, the popularity of our programs is increasing. The scope of our like ambition with programs has increased, so that we've accordingly appropriately increased the budget. The board has supported that throughout the year, so that's a big reason for the increase in the numbers, you know, so. I'm really proud also that you could see like the February fiscal year 2021 is represented here as the last year, but that's you know, kind of coming out of COVID, right? Like you could just see how we bounced back from that experience and really brought back people into the building through our programs. So that's a really a testament to the success of our program.
Yeah, I mean, look at the number of attendees jumping from 10,000 to 24,000, more than 100% growth
Yeah,
from that time,
yeah.
so that's great.
On page 29, I was just wondering if I'm reading the card holders correctly.
Mhm.
Is that that's the total number of cards in circulation currently this year is 65,588?
Yeah, that's, yes, October, as of October for kind of the marker of October fiscal year 2026, yes.
So it does seem like we've dropped off about 10,000 since 2023. Do we know something about that?
Yes, we do. I don't know, is it shown here? I thought we had a note here, but maybe we took it off about at some point we purged our records so that we cleaned up our records to kind of make sure that any people who really don't have library cards or are not living in Skokie anymore and clearly don't actively use their cards, we kind of purge them from our system so that we can have clean data. So is that
Yeah,
right, Laura?
and we hadn't done it in a very long time, so now we're on a better system of continuous maintenance. So yes, but there was a big drop at one point.
At some point, we had a footnote, but I don't know when we
I think
stopped.
after a year had passed.
We got rid of it,
No,
okay.
but
I
we
guess I
went
didn't
back.
notice.
Thank you. Yeah. And that total card holders is how many people have a card, and then the 1 year CERC active is how many of those cards have used their cards in the last year. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty amazing that the number of Skokie residents who have a card out of a community of 68,000 is incredible. But even the active card holder figure is really high. or I think our efforts are, you know, to really hope to increase that active user rate, right? So that everyone who has a card is, but then some folks have a card for their child or children and they only use their adult card or vice versa. Maybe they don't use their adult card because they're just used to using their kids card. So-
And it was like one child's card.
There's nothing
You know,
wrong
all
with
three
that.
of them have it.
There's no like rule against that, of course, I'm not saying that, but I think that's partly what explaining the, why the activation isn't as high as the total number of cards, so.
We also have patrons who come here maybe every day to study or work from here. And if they never check anything out, they don't
Right.
program,
It doesn't get
their card's
reflected.
not active, but they
Right.
are active, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
I have a question, like, if you're working on a computer in the computer lab or anything like that, I've never used a computer there before. Do you have to use your library card to, like, how does that work?
Yeah, you can use your library card to log in, but we also have guest passes, which are very heavily used, so.
Okay.
That was also a question I had about using the studio space. Because I have a lot of friends that are not Skokie residents and don't have a Skokie card, but they use the studio. So I was just wondering like how to maybe have a better like control on it
Yeah,
or
like
better.
to make sure that we have space.
Yeah, I
for-
hate to like,
for-
my friends aren't watching.
I know.
But I'm like, how
I know
are
what
you
you mean,
using the
though.
space
Yeah.
if you live in Rogers Park or?
I know what you mean,
Or even
yeah,
just for tracking, just to
Yeah.
understand usership.
yeah.
Yeah,
Amy Kuster is at a conference tonight, but I can definitely ask her to look into that. I bet we do have some sense of that, but I think that that's a really good question.
yeah,
And especially as, I mean, there's a time when the studio, as we were creating it and launching it, like it wasn't like always full. But
Yeah.
these days I go in there and it's very active and people are waiting for the machine.
oh, yeah.
So something we can look into to make sure that like we are tending to the needs of our taxpayers, frankly,
Right.
you know, in our community, and then.
Even like the
obviously-
supplies, like we don't wanna have to overspend or overuse the supplies for people who are not taxpayers or
Yeah, yeah.
things like that.
It's interesting because so many, practically every library in the area has a makerspace at this point, so I'd be curious to see what draws people to ours. You know, I mean, I know we have great staff, we have a beautiful building, but I would be curious if we have like certain equipment that they're not finding elsewhere or whatever, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question though.
I would definitely encourage us to add more maker events
Yeah.
because I did not make it into the embroidery workshop.
Oh, no.
And I tried signing up for the Procreate the day it opened in the
Okay.
evening and it was already full.
Oh, really?
So, yes.
Oh my gosh, wow.
I would like to advocate for more events.
We will, I'll share that with Amy. Susie will make a note for Amy.
And speaking of that, could you talk about the new maker and residence?
Yeah, I never met her, but I don't have the thing in front of me, but let's
So I
see.
remember the first maker that we had, I remember seeing it in the newsletter and I remember the new woman, I.
She's in the newsletter.
She's in the newsletter, and
Yeah.
there's been a lot of social
Okay.
media
Yeah.
to introduce
I haven't
her.
been
Her
on
name's
social.
Rich, right?
I'm trying to find the.
Yeah, the blog post,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm pulling up the.
I think she was
newsletter.
in yesterday when I went in.
There's a poster and there's a schedule, I think, up there, I'm pulling it up here. Yeah. Sorry, it's loading up here. Brittany Bouye, or Bouyer, I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, but, yeah, so she'll be working on, her specialties and for a while, and then we have a second, maker resident that's already lined up for to follow her, like, I think it's in the spring, so. And, he's more of like a calligraphy and kind of, design, yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
Did you see the newsletter?
Yes, now that I see this,
Yeah.
I recall, it's been kind of a blurry month.
Yeah,
There's been a lot
yeah,
of stuff going on, a lot of things.
There's
Okay.
actually like a big, like 2-page spread in the newsletter, the current newsletter, to introduce her to the community. Mhm.
Any other questions or comments regarding the consent agenda? Okay, then do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So.
Elisa?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Ella?
Yes.
Leah?
Yes.
Lula?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the balance sheet for the 6 months ending on October 31st, 2025.
Yeah, this is just for information purposes only. There's no vote or any action item here. At the 6-month point of the fiscal year, Allison prepares this look at what our revenues and expenditures looks like. Unfortunately, as you all know, the revenues are really not so great. We're 6 million under our expected revenues, but that's entirely explained by the delayed tax collection by Cook County. So hopefully by the end of December or beginning of January, we'll see all that captured, and then we'll start anticipating the spring collections. So, but Allison, did you want to add anything?
No, I guess the revenues kind of,
Tell the
it's
story.
shocking to see,
Yeah.
you know. Well, I mean, I see it every day, but it's shocking to see in a report.
Yeah. Allison will be the happiest person when she sees that money come into the bank account.
Maybe you could just briefly talk to expenditures then, because obviously that's the area that we have more control over
Mhm.
right now than the revenues coming in, and just maybe a general statement about how we're feeling, tracking towards expenditures, halfway
Yeah.
through the year, like how we're feeling about it.
I think, yeah, go ahead, Allison.
Sorry.
No, please go ahead.
I think we're pretty well on track as far as expenditures are going. We're, total expenditures is at 57% right now. So there's some budget lines that will pick up towards the end of the fiscal year, and we have some budget lines that are heavy at the beginning of the fiscal year. So I think we're in a pretty good spot as far as that goes. Our largest budget line is personnel expenditures. So with the lack of revenues coming in, I'm always certain that the payroll is being paid and insurance is being paid. So our cushion of 4 months is really, really a good thing.
Yeah, it's a kind of helps us sleep at night, right? Knowing that we have kind of belts and suspenders. There are a couple of lines, if you look back at page 26, which is the year-to-date budget look picture. There are a couple lines that we're watching carefully. That will, by the end of the fiscal year, we'll get really close to or possibly exceed our budget for a particular line by a little bit, but the overall picture, we always try to conclude the year, within our budget, obviously. So nothing to be concerned about now. It's just a couple lines we're watching.
Can you talk a little bit about which budget lines are going to, that we would be expecting to pay out towards the end?
Like, to possibly go over a little?
Yes,
Yeah,
just to kind
Yeah,
of
okay,
preface,
so,
just in case.
yeah. So continuing education and memberships is always something that, we're very supportive of our staff to go to conferences and workshops and get training. We always want our staff to be like, really fresh with their, the knowledge and what their skill set, right? So we invest a lot of money into that, and I think our staff appreciate that. So that's always something we want to say yes to everything, so that's a problem. That also includes tuition reimbursements, and this year we've had more tuition reimbursement requests from staff than ever. So again, it's hard to say no to those requests because we want to support staff who are pursuing advanced degrees and education as it relates to their library work. So we're doing our best to manage that. So that might be kind of coming in tight there. Professional services is another, we had the website project this year and a number of other consulting. We had the HR consultant that came in earlier this year. And so our normal legal fees, obviously, for policy advisement and so forth. So that's something we'll keep an eye on and hopefully bring in right at budget. Let's see. Some of the other lines, I mean, I think most of the other lines are pretty good. Let's see, technology might seem off because we're 24% left with 50% a year, but as a reminder, we always front load our technology budget expenditures because a lot of that budget is annual subscriptions to different platforms or software or accounts. So you'll see that happen every year with technology. It kind of looks bad, but it really isn't. Yeah, so those are the main ones that are kind of on our radar.
And really, a lot of the technology ones are ones that we were expecting. Like, it's not like,
All of it is.
like
It's
all
like
of the,
yeah.
their continuous subscriptions and things like that. So we
Yes.
pretty much know what
Yeah.
the rate will be.
Mark Cassie, who we spoke of earlier, is getting a double shout out this month, I guess. He's meticulous about his spending with that and very careful about spending, so.
And then what is the tuition reimbursement for?
What is it? So it's, if staff can request, it's built into our collective bargaining agreement, but also our personnel code, so staff can ask for tuition reimbursement for coursework that they're taking that relates to their career or job, library related. It can't just be kind of a random field or whatever. And most of the time it's like a library degree, right? Like a Master's of Library Science or some information science. And so if people decide to pursue that, they'll submit the request. They'll get a maximum of 50% of the course fee for an A, and then it kind of tiers down if they get a B or C. But our staff always get A's. I don't know what it is, but I swear I don't think I've ever seen anything but an A. So for whatever that's worth, right? I think that's an indication of who we hire. And then there's also a max lifetime kind of cap of 11,500, I believe, for any one individual. Right? So yeah. But like I said, this year it just happened to be that we have a lot of people who are pursuing degrees, and I think a lot of it stems from people start out in the library and then they realize they love the library work and they want to make a career out of it. So which is great. Yeah.
Well, I feel like we saw that a lot in all of the interviews for the employees. They started in one facet and then decided to stay on.
Oh, the profiles, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
It's exciting to see. Any other questions or comments for the balance sheet? Okay, then we'll move on to the acceptance of award of bid for the outreach vehicle.
I'm gonna turn it over to Director of Community Engagement, Nancy Kim Phillips, and our Football Supervisor, Carl Cutler. Take it away. They've done so much work on this. It's their show.
And I'm gonna turn over to Carl. I don't know if, how many of you have met him, but he has been at the library for 17 years. And also, was on the bookmobile when he was a child. So he is the biggest cheerleader. I call him the poster boy for the bookmobile. And I think when you hear him talk a little bit here, he's just very compelling because of that passion.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Carl Cutler. I've been at the library since July of 2008. I've been a library patron since I was that big. Yeah, my family lived about as far away from the library as you could live in Skokie, and I was a latchkey kid for a while, or my grandmother would pick my brother and I up from school, but every Thursday without fail, the wheel would park right by our house, so we would have to across a major street. So I grew up knowing the benefit of bookmobile and outreach services in the community. We rarely had time to trek across town to get to the library. And I see that story repeated year in and year out through my time working on the bookmobile, both as an assistant and as a supervisor. So the chance to really impact those in the community and bring library services out beyond library walls has been wonderful for me. So that said, the bookmobile is a large vehicle. It's 40 feet. It's the same as your standard CTA or Pace Bus, except it's taller, so subject to more tree branches. We have 15 stops throughout the week, 3 every afternoon. They're public stops, plus we make it to private stops. In the morning, stops range anywhere from a half hour to an hour and a half. And we do frequently throughout the week at these stops fill the bookmobile to the brim. So part of this discussion, regarding a supplementary vehicle that's smaller is not replacement of the bookmobile, because we have it packed to the brim just this week. But we can only fit it so many places. There are certain schools, neighborhoods that are just very densely populated or just have tight maneuvers. Over the years, we've had to, for safety reasons, do away with certain stops just because it's tough to maneuver a 40-foot vehicle there. We don't want to have to have the bookmobile towed out of there or have to back it up onto a street like Skokie Boulevard or something like that. So it's just a small part of bookmobile services here. And in addition, our other vehicle is the book bike. I'll let Nancy talk a little bit about book bike services.
Yeah, so compared to the bookmobile, which we've had services since 1957, we just finished our 6th year with the book bike. And it has been a really great way for us to really look and see where we could pick out certain areas in the community based on different demographics. And we give away books from the withdrawn collection. So that's always a highlight. People often think that it's an ice cream bike when it's closed in, and so that is a draw. And but then they still stay for the books, and we have supplemented that with bookmarks that look like popsicles, so they aren't completely disappointed. But it is small. It is weather dependent, so it has added to our services. It is so approachable. So it's a way to have a friendly face with the library and talk to some people who've never been at the library before, and just start those kind of relationships and visibility. But it is also limited.
So on the left side of the screen, that's a map of our bookmobile stops throughout Skokie. The library is pinned to the bottom left quadrant, if you will. So we try and fan out from a certain distance away from the library to cover as much of the community as we possibly can. Schedule, we try and break it up by day, so we're visiting a certain area of the community and keep our stops within that area. Jump around on certain days, but we do a fairly good job of covering as many areas as we can possibly fit the vehicle into. But as stated before, there are limitations with the size of the vehicle, which
Yeah, and the schedule. I mean, you can only go to a certain number of places. I'll just add a little bit to what Carl said. In the last 2 years, we changed from having regular Saturday stops, and 3 out of 4 of those we integrated into the weekday one was just not being really utilized very much. But we've actually seen an increase from the stops that we moved from the weekend to the weekday. And we went to a different strategy of weekend events, a couple every month from like May to October. And so we've purposely gone to some areas that we don't have a regular bookmobile stop. This has also allowed us to go to certain community events that in previous years, we've just said we don't have the capacity to come. Right now, we have a Saturday stop where we, towards the end, was getting very low, and then we go to Touch a Truck and we see 800 people in 2 hours.
Wow.
So that's added to those stops there, and where we've learned, like, we can go to different areas even if we don't have a regular stop. So on the right-hand side, this is just, if you looked at the memo, there are different ways that we're thinking that this can be used. And just one example is, as Carl was talking about, you know, where can we go, maybe where there is more densely populated, meaning more multifamily housing. We're looking at income levels, and we're looking at active library use, and have just preliminarily kind of pulled, Devin Parkinson pulled together numbers for us, and just beginning to say, where do those things line up? Higher poverty level, and maybe it's multifamily housing, very dense, and so we haven't been able to take the bookmobile there. And so I just outlined the several of the census block groups there. So they start up, if you look at the far north up there by the cemetery, just north of Old Orchard Road, small area, smaller population, but this is where Carl referred to at Old Orchard condominiums at the time. There was no place to park. Even when the village helped us to put a parking sign up for the bookmobile, we couldn't usually get it because somebody else would be there. And it was kind of sad when we decided, for safety reasons, that we weren't going to go there anymore, because we felt like at the time the people who were coming and the potential of the people who could come fit right along what we wanted to do. And so in the back of the mind was always, okay, we've got to find another way to get up there, but it's a little bit too far for the book bike. And then if you look going south, southwest, that area, we do have some stops kind of close, but some of them are on, you know, a different side of the street than a busy street. And so, like Carl said, not for kids and families to cross the street. You guys know it's a different neighborhood, and it is more densely, you know, in terms of housing. So we could have more stops or more visits in those areas, even though we do have a number on that side. And then we've got towards the middle and the right is just sort of Dempster to Maine, far east side, and down on the bottom, very close to the library. And so very close to the library, it's not the place we would take the bookmobile.
Right.
But we also, just looking in terms of demographics, there are opportunities we want to explore. So none of this is written in stone at all. It's just like starting to look at what our approach would be to see where we might want to take a smaller vehicle. In addition to audiences, which were also in the memo.
So here's what the vehicle could look like. This is a Sprinter van, a 3500 model. This is the Missoula, Montana Public Library. Beautiful beach, they have a beautiful map. It's about 24 feet long. The roof is lofted a bit, so you can board it similar to the bookmobile, and you can fully grown adult can stand up inside. There are library shelves. Everything is modular. So the vehicle, Nancy's heard me refer to the vehicle as a Swiss Army knife. Anytime, because everything on there, including those two lines you see on the floor on the left side, we can clip carts in there. And we can go to senior living facilities and use that wheelchair lift that you saw on the previous page to offload these carts and bring them into a senior living facility and facilitate lobby stops. So residents don't have to go outside. Or preschools, home daycare centers, or if the bookmobile happens to be down for maintenance, it can function as a bookmobile. There's really, the limit is your imagination for one of these vehicles. The seats up front, you can see on the right, they swivel around. So they can be operated just like a desk, just like for those of you who have been on board the bookmobile. It really allows us to just maintain all services as well as service model.
I think this is the next one, the picture. Okay. So Richard had asked, Dan, if they could actually just kind of play it out based on our bookmobile art. This would not be the exact art, but we, Richard has reached out to Jay Ryan, and he is interested in continuing to be our kind of our model here. So
The thought was fleet consistency. We've got such a good thing going, we stand out, even amongst other bookmobiles when we visit other libraries for bookmobile roundup conferences. We really stand out. It's a partnership we've had with Jay Ryan. It's been pretty incredible.
So yes, this is just where your imagination, what it could look like sort of, and Carl's reference to a fleet, to keep Jay consistent with our fleet. I will say also that when Carl came. Thanks, Willa. When Carl was promoted to supervisor, and Richard and I were talking to him, and we were like, what's your vision? Where do you see the library going, And he said, I'd like to see a fleet. We're like, whoa, okay. And we got to, over time, learn more about what is possible and what is difficult with the bookmobile and what new opportunities there might be, in addition to the work that we did last year to explore potential audiences we've made. Like with the senior living facilities, we didn't have any relationships really with them. We've started doing that. We started making relationships with some of the ethnic grocery stores. We talked to the park district about the possibility, and they're really excited about the possibility of doing after school programs. So we've got our seeds planted, and of course we could do that just by going in our car and, just going and putting up a table. But this will be another fun way to do it.
Can you, do you want me to do just explanation of the bid proposal, or do you want to do it?
Oh, you can go ahead.
I just wanted to, so Nancy, Carl, and Adam, who's not here, if you recall, early last year, we had a current strategic priority to explore, right, outreach into the community, and that laid the groundwork. I just want to remind everyone that laid the groundwork for all of this. This project, right? That information that we learned of the need and the possibilities that led to this solution. So as the memo that Nancy and Carl prepared, you can see that we worked with the consultant, Michael Swindowski, who was the same consultant who worked with us on the bookmobile in 2015-16. And he's a specialist in mobile specialty vehicles, and he helped us bid out the project. So as we saw in the memo, we did bid the project out. We got 4 bids. He examined them, and you see in the attachment his recommendation and his analysis. One note, I know it's mentioned in Nancy's memo here, but in terms of the exceptions or clarifications, he noted in the memo, his memo, that MSV would train at the facility, their facility in Louisville Library, but actually that was incorrect, and the MSV clarified that they will actually come to the library and deliver the vehicle and train our staff in how to use the vehicle. So just wanted to say that that was
Well, we really
issue.
wanted to go to Waukesha.
Who knows?
I'm from Mishawaka, Indiana, so I'm very familiar with Waukesha, so.
But I just wanted to clarify that in case the board had any concern about that being something that MSV couldn't deliver. Carl, do you want to say a little bit about, I know you spoke with the references that were provided and.
Yeah, they provided us with 3 references. In the interest of time, I spoke with the 2 of them that actually had phone numbers listed. Both of them gave very glowing reviews about the work that MSV did for them. Neither of them were on Sprinter vans, but their work kind of spoke for itself. Just, I mean, they're still bookmobiles, they were still library outreach vehicles. Both libraries said that MSV delivered well ahead of schedule. And that everything, all of their questions were answered. One from Southern Indiana, the reference, actually mentioned that theirs was well out of warranty, but that MSV is still a trusted contact for them if any concerns arise.
That was my question.
Regarding the vehicle. So they've been very helpful in helping them along with anything that's come up.
And actually to that maintenance piece too, I mean, Carl has to maintain and develop, you know, really special relationships with different places to take the bookmobile. And so one of the advantages of having a Sprinter van is that it's not as difficult, you know, to maintain.
So you see the recommendation for Nancy and Carl to approve the bid for mobile specialty vehicles and the amount there. All of us can, you know, answer any questions that you may have about this. I know this is a new vehicle and probably have some questions about it.
I have one quick question. I am so excited, super fan of the bookmobile. Thank you for doing all this research. I just was curious about the shuttle door conversion, if you could just clarify what
So-
that was all about in terms of ability and disability, how that would affect.
Yeah, so having been to several bookmobile and outreach conferences and seen all the different variations of these Sprinter vans, one option that I had seen early on was a shuttle door conversion. Think about like your transit bus style doors that pop open.
Oh, okay.
One advantage is it's a smaller footprint. Where this has just your regular like cargo van style door to board the vehicle, so it just slides open, which does remove some shelf space. I think it's not ideal, especially in terms of cost, but it's just something it was something to consider early on as an option. I know other libraries that have vehicles with the shuttle door conversions, they really enjoy them. But every library that has a Sprinter vehicle enjoys most things about it anyway, regardless of style of door.
So it's a nice to have, but not a necessity, right?
It's a luxury. Yeah.
But your question about how it, in terms of accessibility, can you talk about like the say
Yeah,
a
if
little
someone
again?
needs help like opening it or, because I know with the bookmobile we have, people, it's open and people just.
We do have doors that can remain open.
Right.
And it's a similar in that having a cargo van style door, it can just be slid open.
Okay.
And left open to provide services. We also again have the lift in the back. And it's a very heavy duty lift. I think it's rated for 8 or something, give or take. And so it is, while not fully ADA accessible, because there's not space for a wheelchair to fully turn around in the vehicle, we can get a wheelchair on board.
Great. Thank you.
And is there, actually, I don't even know the answer to this question, but when you open the cargo style door, is there a step?
We do have, there will be a step similar to the bookmobile.
Okay.
Step, just the same.
And there are no Sprinter models that have that door already installed?
That have the shuttle door.
They're add-ons.
They're always
or
at.
customization.
Yeah, Mercedes doesn't build them as a, you get some specialty companies, but they build it as a passenger style vehicle.
Anyone has a question?
Yeah.
She wants to ask who makes sure we have a clean title to the vehicle.
So, when the vehicle is delivered and we make the final retainage payment, then they'll give us the title. So we have the title, and then we keep the title along with other vehicle titles. Susie has them, and then we put them in the, we have a safe deposit box kind of thing. So is that what you mean for?
Yeah,
This is a
I
new
just,
vehicle.
I just want to make sure that the title is in the name of, the library, and make sure we
Oh.
have, just make sure somebody checks and make sure that it's uh done correctly, I guess.
Yeah, oh, yeah, no, of course. It would just be like, it's a new vehicle, so we'd be purchasing a new vehicle, so,
Okay.
thank you. Ma'am.
May I have your attention, please? Would Brianna please come to the first floor kids desk? Brianna, please come to the first floor kids desk. Thank you.
And it's gonna be registered in Illinois?
Yeah, when we receive it, we'll have to do the regular vehicle registration and all that, so.
I have a question, 2 questions. On this subject of the registration, all that stuff, do we know how much it's gonna up our insurance?
We don't know the exact amount, we're going to look into that, but it would I think it would be not a significant increase because, it's just tacking on, an extra vehicle to our, insurance, insurance policy. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And then my other question, it's very nice that it doesn't require like a CDL, so anyone can really drive it. Are we going to be hiring new employees that are gonna specifically be on the van, or is it gonna be someone here already that's familiar with the library that's gonna kind of be part-time van, part-time library, kind of just curious about that?
So, it's something that we will start, we probably will start in the summer next year. And start with our existing staff, just as we're getting the program going, and we will look at then what the appropriate staffing should be as the program gets more, integrated and that sort of thing. But we have staff to be able to at least start.
This isn't something where, in order to start the program, with this Sprinter van, we would have to hire, 3 more full-time staff or anything like that. It would be kind of like a slow growth and then assessment of what the need is, kind of like what we were talking about programming before, like as it grows and it becomes popular and we see all these opportunities, perhaps that's something we'll want to discuss. But we'll always hold that and do something like that within the scope of our approved budget.
I had a similar question too, because this is, the price to purchase, but then
Right.
insurance is
All the
gas,
added costs.
staffing,
Yeah.
or is it gonna be parked,
Gas,
annual
everything.
maintenance fees?
Yeah.
So I think it would be good, that's not to say we shouldn't vote on this today, but I think it would be good to get a clear picture of what the percent of our current budget, it doesn't have to be super precise or exact,
Yeah.
but just what do we estimate that it would be?
We'll definitely be able to do that, and it's perfect timing actually, because we have our budget planning season, right now, actually. And so January, February, we'll be able to start giving the board, the first look at. You'll see it reflected in the budget proposal for the following fiscal year. Additional, auto maintenance costs potentially, our insurance projection will likely rise, to some degree, and then, staff considerations, obviously, but although I really think that will come maybe at a later stage. So, we can fold that all in.
I can speak a little bit to the staffing side of things. In terms of not at this time needing any additional staff, that we would start having the bookmobile team operating the vehicle. They're all by the time the vehicle arrives, every member of the bookmobile team will be a licensed Class B commercial driver. And I, per the 2022 federal law and entry level treatment, which allows me then to conduct staff trainings for anyone beyond the bookmobile team who is wanting to operate the Sprinter van. Because it is a large, though not the size of a bookmobile, it is a much larger vehicle than most of us operate on a day-to-day basis. So that I will be able to put aside time to conduct staff trainings with the vehicle for anyone who's interested or capable of operating.
I might be able to drive it.
Yeah, I have a follow-up question for that, because for the bookmobile, you do need a commercial driver's license to drive that. Are there similar restrictions for a Sprinter van, or is that more open, like you can?
No,
anybody drive
any
that?
of us in this room that has a
Okay.
valid driver's license can jump in.
So you're like,
and
you,
operate.
good drive, man.
Sign on.
And it would, I mean, it's a very simple training. It's just about
Yeah.
getting you used to operating. a
Sure.
vehicle that's
I
more-
mean,
It's not a minivan, it's not a standard minivan size, it's a step up from that.
Yeah.
Did you all see the added component that we're gonna have a 360-degree mirror? So that will help.
Yeah.
Camera,
Camera
sorry,
system,
camera,
I'm sure from the bookmobile, you have a lot of experience with the safety, but just because there are gonna be a lot of kids around.
Sure.
whatever You need.
And that was why I really, while it is a nice item to have, but not necessarily a necessity, the 360-degree camera
Yeah.
was something that I really wanted to push for, because not everyone operating the vehicle is going to be a licensed driver. So giving us that best view of the vehicle from the top down and from the side mirrors.
And just for safety, like whenever there's kids around, it's good just to always be watching.
Yep.
Never know.
I have one other quick question. So this may change over time. Oh, it's okay if you don't know the answer yet, but you imagine this to be interchangeable with the bookmobile, the bigger one, right? Like at any time, those 15 stops might see this one or the big one, or are you gonna keep the big one for the, am I making sense? Like, are you gonna keep the big one as the regular scheduled programs and this one will do the special ones? Okay.
Just like additional stops.
Right,
I
okay,
think-
right.
No,
I
I
did not
understand.
articulate
No,
very
that's
clearly.
good, we all understood.
Okay, good.
That's a great
Okay,
question.
okay, follow me.
Yeah, we all
Yeah,
understood.
what do you
Is it gonna have
imagine?
its own route? Is it gonna be?
Yeah,
right,
addendum to
additional
the
stuff.
current route?
And then in
Yeah.
terms
On
of
top
like,
of that.
like communicating that to people, because people are very like, you know, keyed into the bookmobiles and just
So-
curious what you're thinking about how
We're
to.
gonna have a contest to
Or is this
be
like the little
lining up,
sister?
shotgun of the front of the.
What do you imagine for like how?
I would love to have a community naming contest.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking right now, we're gonna have a name for it.
That said,
That would be fun.
Yeah, great Instagram.
this is where that
Oh my God.
Swiss Army knife nature of the vehicle comes in.
Okay,
It's that it's not a replacement for bookmobile service. However, in certain locations, like our former stop at Old Orchard Condominiums, where even when we had our parking space, it required a 3-point turn in a full-size bookmobile just to
Oh,
exit
serious.
this densely packed neighborhood. It opens up some of these densely packed communities where it would be near impossible to
Got it.
safely operate a 40-foot vehicle. But then we're also talking some smaller preschools,
Mhm.
religious day schools, we're talking senior living facilities.
Mhm.
But if the bookmobile is down for maintenance, in the past, we kind of fly by the seat of our pants. We'll take the library car if it's available and just grab all of the holds off the bookmobile and go out to stops and stand outside looking official with the rear hatch open with holds there, like a produce stand or something.
Right.
This vehicle allows us that if the bookmobile is, has any scheduled maintenance or is down for an extended period of time, to still have all of the holds that the community has requested, but also provide some semblance of regular bookmobile
And like
service.
a branded presence,
Yeah.
that people will recognize and
Yeah.
feel comfortable with it. Parents can feel like, okay, yeah, that's the book, that's the.
They can go
Sprinter van,
to
yeah, I
the
don't know what-
It's
So-
official, yeah.
When did that open?
It's official, you can go up.
And it's been, we've had, just the personal anecdote of being out there in the library car or in my personal car and outside of a school and having the police roll by.
Who are you? Yeah, why are
Sign
you
it.
distributing books?
Library, you know, I make sure all the staff wears all of their library
Yeah.
jackets.
Here.
You know,
Yeah.
library. Yeah.
But can I add one thing, and just to make it crystal clear, like for anyone watching this too, we're not talking about this replacing the bookmobile, like, the bookmobile is so beloved in our community, I think you all know that.
It's so exciting when you
just-
see it on the road, you
it's
know,
just
it's
like-
like, I'm like, ooh.
It's
So
big.
cherished by our community, and it's actually like functionally speaking, not just like feelings wise, a really great service, you know, delivery system, right? And for programs, but also obviously for collections, so we're not talking about using the Sprint event to diminish like what we're trying to offer with the bookmobile. It's a supplement, not a replacement.
You're building the fleet.
Yeah.
It is, like I said, early on, you know, that point that it is a 40-foot vehicle, it's impossible to get it everywhere in Skokie. But we do consistently have that 40-foot vehicle full of patrons. Whether it be full classrooms at a school stop or at a public stop every Friday at multiple stops. It is impossible for staff to walk from one to the other.
Wow. So cool.
There's a full range, you know, each neighborhood has its own regulars and, you know, habits of going and, yeah, but I would just say on a very, like an incremental level, we do have a stop at Bronx and Greenwood. And that is in a neighborhood that's it's not a park, so a lot of the places we go to are parks or schools. So that there are natural places to put the bookmobile. In Bronx and Greenwood, we have to look for a parking spot, and it might be farther down, or it might be, you know, a slightly different area.
Right.
Very much utilize the loosest sense of it, the intersection. We could be parked on Bronx or we could be parked on Greenwood. I really, you know, over my years, I've tried to establish consistency for patron sake as much as possible, that if it is Bronx and Greenwood, we're always trying to park in the same spot on Bronx if we can. We're always within sight of the intersection, but some people get so used to, you know, us being in their routine, and maybe they're driving past Bronx and they look down the street, they don't see the bookmobile. Well, I guess the bookmobile's not out today, but really we're parked just around the corner on Greenwood.
So that might be one that we could consider using, the Sprinter van. King Homes apartment, it's got some tricky parking as well.
There's another 3-point turn.
Um,
To get the 40-foot vehicle in there. We've all done it. It's a great training opportunity for new drivers. That said, and it's a wonderful stop. It is a Cook County Housing Authority building. But even a small, you know, we have a lot of residents that utilize the whole system there. So even just being able to give them that service.
Yeah.
Limits us from getting traffic.
It's not as big of a, regular following there as like Central Park, as Carl said, so. So those are two that could be possible, and then the model of service, there's all kinds of things, so there may be some regular stops. Like if we develop relationships with senior residence facilities.
Sure.
I could see those as being regular. The schools after school, it might be regular, it might be periodic, you know. And then some of what we will do will be just developing the schedule of much more like, just maybe planning a little bit ahead, but it's not gonna be like the regular all the time. So we're gonna have to figure it out.
Sure, yeah.
We want to be able to honor requests from the community. The community wants the library there. It's harder to bring a special, you know, a vehicle that requires a specialized license that is 40 feet long to a block party, or, you know, to certain locations, certain schools, certain home daycares, but to give us a presence there and be able to wheel multiple carts and books into a facility allows us to still bring library services to them.
I'm very excited about this. I think that even if we don't have all of the details nailed out and, we're gonna continue to respond to our patrons and their community needs, this at least eliminates, more of the barriers that we have with the bookmobile. And something that I know that we've always continued to emphasize is really accessibility. So this will hopefully open up a whole another aspect of accessibility for both our staff members and our patrons and community members. And hopefully to be able to get more resources out to our patrons. It's very exciting. So thank you for that. Okay, so with that, do I hear a motion to approve the award of the bid from Mobile Specialty Vehicles in the amount of $153,339? Elisa?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Ella?
Yes.
Leah?
Yes.
Lula?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Exciting to see what you do with this.
Congrats.
Better start the naming contest.
Yeah. I know, I was saying in my head, I see a great Instagram poster.
We have, just based on conversations with friends and colleagues at other libraries, Gale Borden in particular, they have some Sprinter vans, and they've gone above and beyond when it comes to punny names, leadership, and their technomobile, so
Readership, that's cute.
just, I think opening up to the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Very cool.
Another way for them to get a t-shirt.
We love a good t-shirt here.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
We're moving on to the approval of the salary increase for the executive director. Do I have any questions or comments on this?
Sorry, I completely missed that. Is there a document?
Did I?
I saw it in the email and then with the audit, and then I went and I looked for the audit and I looked back in the email, I didn't see anything about it, so.
There's not a memo.
Oh, there's no
for
memo.
me, but-
It's just from
No,
what we discussed in
yeah,
session?
yes.
Oh, yeah, please.
Any questions or comments on that other than that? Okay, then do I hear a motion to approve a one-time retroactive salary payment of $4,138.68, which is a 2.5% salary increase and a 1.5% merit increase for the library executive director for fiscal year 2025 to 2026.
Second.
I have a question. Can we read that motion?
Yes. Do I hear a motion to approve a one-time retroactive salary payment of $4,138.68, which is a 2.5% salary increase and a 1.5% merit increase?
It sounds like it's just saying 2.5 for retro, but then it's not addressing the 2.5 moving forward plus the 1.5.
2.5% salary increase and a 1.5% merit increase.
So
Go ahead.
I feel awkward saying this, but, so my understanding is that it's a 2.5% and a 1.5, so a total of 4%.
But it's the grammar that I'm talking about.
You're talking about
So
retroactive
It
versus.
says retroactive and then it says and 1.5. I want to make sure that it's clear that it's 2.5, which is part of it is retroactive and moving forward. Because if we make the motion for 2.5 retroactive, we're not speaking towards moving forward.
So
To me, it's not sounding.
it's really a
Correct.
4% increase retroactive to May 2025. And what that ends up being is a 4,000 plus amount for the retroactive payment based on that 4% increase.
So what verbiage were you looking
I'm
to
just
maybe tweak?
trying to make sure that we're clear, because if we're making a motion that is 2.5 retroactive, we're not speaking to, there's a pay increase. And we're also giving it retroactive. It just sounds not structured properly in the motion.
Okay.
And maybe I'm just mishearing it. Maybe I should see, if I see it, that may help.
Do you want to see?
Yeah.
Was it in an email?
So if you see it.
Oh, it's at the top?
Oh, okay.
How about, what if I say this first? Why don't
Mhm.
this first and then this one
Yeah.
comes after that?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I just wanna make sure we're in
No,
order.
yes, I understand. I hear where you're coming from.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just going to kind of take it and same ideas, we're just going to kind of flip it a little bit so that it seems a little bit more clear, okay, and let me know what you think. A motion to approve a 2.5% salary increase and a 1.5% merit increase for a one-time retroactive salary payment of $4,138.68 for the library executive director for fiscal year 2025-2026.
I don't know how to wordsmith it right now, but it needs to say the pay increase and that it will be retroactive starting this date, and then it will move through the year. Because the way that we're saying it, it really sounds like we're just giving a retroactive pay increase
That's not.
and then it stops.
Mhm.
We have to communicate some way that we're giving retroactive, that the pay increase is happening and that we're also providing a retroactive, providing it retroactively beginning.
Oh,
Okay.
May.
it's leaving out that it's a salary increase.
Yes.
not just
It
for the
sounds like
past
it's a
year.
retroactive
Okay.
increase just
Just
for
like
that
you're thinking,
time.
it's like a one-time consolidated payment
Yeah.
versus the
It's-
retroactive pay plus going forward.
So can we
Yeah.
say, and moving forward, would that be enough?
Just, I think they're putting the amount in there. I don't know if we have to state the amount, but if we say a pay increase of however we've broken it down, 2.5, 1.5, retroactively starting on, what's the date?
May 2025.
May 2025 for this fiscal year, but indicating that it starts retroactive beginning. And maybe I'm just mishearing it and it's not clicking in my brain, but it sounded like we're just gonna give a pay increase for May through now. And then 1.5 moving forward.
Could it be worded as such where, again, it's hard, I'm a visual person too.
I need to write it down,
Yeah,
like I have no
And I
pen.
think the wording could be something to the effect of a 2.5% whatever plus 1.5% whatever, which is inclusive of a retroactive payment of this dollar amount.
There you go.
Yeah.
We work together.
Yeah.
I think if you say it's the pay increase plus that and inclusive of this specific amount for the retroactive pay, I think that covers, because I do
Okay.
typically think we have to say a dollar amount if there's
Okay.
something like that.
Okay, so I'm hearing you. Let me see if I got this right. To approve a 2.5% salary increase and a 1.5% merit increase for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. It is inclusive of a one-time retroactive salary payment of $4,138.68.
Yes.
Does that feel good to everybody? Okay, I'm gonna repeat it one more time for clarity purposes, and then please feel free to chime in if you want to make a motion on this. Do I hear a motion to approve a 2.5% salary increase and a 1.5 merit increase for the 2025-2026 fiscal year? It is inclusive of a one-time retroactive salary payment of $4,138.68 for the library executive director.
So moved.
Second,
Elisa,
yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Ella,
Yes.
Leah,
Yes.
Lula,
Yes.
Michelle says yes, motion passes 7-0.
Sorry.
No, but it's a hard decision.
I just didn't want anybody.
No, that was helpful. I'm glad you,
Yes,
asked
it's
for
important to be
clarity.
clear. We're all on the same page.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Okay. With that, do we have any other comments from trustees?
I just have one. I was out at like an event within Skokie, and I got a lot of feedback on our library of things, and people are really liking it. And there were special shout outs for the knife sharpener and the radon detector. So people are finding great value in it, and it was more of a curiosity question, so it could possibly be a good idea for social media posts. They're wondering how you pick the items that go into the library of things, and if you solicit feedback from the community. So that was some positive feedback I thought was really, really great. And then in the same group, just a programming idea that was brought forth to me, which I'm sharing here. There seems to be, especially with the economy kind of going up and down, a hunger for financial literacy curriculum or coursework here. So whether it be understanding what's the difference between an IRA and a Roth IRA, or an ETF versus a mutual fund, or understanding your retirement accounts, people just feel in general that they could use that type of guidance. And it was specifically coming from women. So there seems to be this desire for empowering women in finance. So I'm just sharing this feedback that I've heard from people at this.
Susie will know. So, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, someone on my team is working with a collaborative group of libraries that in February in particular, I think they're gonna have 3 or 4 programs that are all related to personal finance.
Okay, great.
And at different stages of your life. That is a focused time, but it's good to get that feedback too.
Yeah, but the library thing, there was just so much curiosity around it and a lot of feedback. So I think that that's great. And when one woman, she said she had not heard of it, and then she went on to the website and she started reserving all of these things that she had no idea. So I think it just goes to show that once people find out about the service, they're very captivated and intrigued by it. But are there ways that we could better, communicate it, get feedback from the community? Yeah, but there was a lot of kudos for the knife sharpener and the radon detector. Those were 2 very popular things. So.
Thank you.
I continue to get comments from patrons and community members about our studio space. And all that it has to offer, the customer service that's in there from our staff members, how welcoming from whether they've, someone has told me that she is currently working on her holiday gifts for family members in there, which is very exciting. And taking, buying her own materials and bringing it in there and using, the tools there and the guidance, and just collaborating with other people that are in there and just talking. And I think it's such a great testament to how it becomes a community space, right? Everybody's using it. They're helping each other, they're getting ideas, they're taking scraps from somebody else's project and using that theirs. So it's just a really great space. So I just wanted to say thank you again to our staff members and to everybody who's supporting that as well.
I was just in there yesterday. I'm a party planner. So I had a client who just recently had a bar mitzvah. And so everyone signed this hat, and I put one of his logo stickers on it, and then I brought it in. And I made an iron-on of his logo, and I ironed it onto his hat, and it made me look so good. I could not believe I did it. The people in there were like, yeah, we have a special hat thing you could put it on, and it made it so easy.
Wow.
And then I brought it over to my client, and they're like, who did this? I was like, oh, I did. It was me. I'm like, oh, wow. It's free. Don't worry about it. But yeah, so it's great. It's very encouraging.
So you start with hats before you know it.
I know. I'm gonna have to add a whole
right. Building your repertoire.
I just want to say after the last board meeting we had, we were actually adjourned before the library closed, so I was able to pop my head into the studio space. And I wanted to just say thank you to the staff that was working in there. And I said my husband and son had come over the weekend. My son had a project for it's called Baker Business School. He had to come up with a prototype and a pitch for a product that he wanted to do for school. And his idea was to do a bookmark, and he wanted to personalize it and put the school's logo on it. And so I said, it might be pretty nice if you went to laminate it. So they went to the studio space, and he knew exactly how to use the lamination tool because he has it at school. But when I went to the studio, they didn't know who I was. And I just explained, I'm like, oh, my son came in. He had just like, he knew exactly what to do, and but he appreciated, everyone's support. And they remembered, it was like days later, and they remembered my son and my husband, and they knew exactly what he did. And it was just so touching because I mean, it just made me feel like they don't know who I am. And, I was just popping in to say I really appreciate their services and everything that they do because there's a lot of cool things. Like it was just mentioned that you could do in that space. So I just wanted to give them a shout out and say how much, we appreciated that.
Any other comments? We need a motion. Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, we'll do roll call. Lisa? Mary?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yeah.
Ellen?
Yes.
Leah?
Yes.
Bula?
Yes, sorry.
And I say yes. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.